my biggest my biggest
Go
my
ahead.
biggest problem with all this is this what we have to look forward to in a comprehensive plan and everything? Because this is not the first time this has happened at this facility. From what I'm told, it's the third time within the last 5 years. I know, and I've seen it once before at least. And what kind of plan should have been put in place to keep this from happening again? And is this what has to happen to get the EPA and people like that out here to Rockdale County? Does it have to be an explosion? Or can it be like proactive measures taken where they come out and inspect facilities like this? If they would have been doing the natural inspections and everything and preventive maintenance and things like that, then maybe this would not have occurred and everything. The other problem I have is that water activated it from what we're told, and the first thing the fire department did is came in and sprayed water on it. So, did they add to the problem? Is that what really made this thing illuminate like it did? I mean, I'm I'm military, I'm ex-military, and I'm not a firefighter. I did take firefighting training and everything, but I could swear, but when I was in the military, that they told us that you never put water on chemical
Chemical
fire, you
fire.
never put water on electrical fire. So it's a powder. We had a PKP powder that we had to put on electrical fire and chemical fire. So did did they just add to the problem? Is what I'm saying basically. And where do we go from here? That chemical is going to be here for a good minute. It's going to be in our soil. It's going to be in everything. It's going to go into our environment. It's going to be in the trees. It's going to be everywhere for a minute. And the rain ain't going to wash it away that quick. The rain's just going to wash it to another area. So are we going to be, if we decide to have a garden, are we going to be using the garden and growing things that are full of chemicals like chlorine and stuff like that? Then they said chlorine and acid. That's what they said. They said that's what's being released into the air, and that the mask won't do anything for it. That's what the medical advisor said today when they were speaking. She said that the mask, the N95s and everything, those won't even do anything because the gas and it's too thin. It'll go straight through that mask. So I look at a bunch of people that said they look like deer in headlights. When they did the presentation, when they were doing this update and briefing and everything this evening, and I'm like, nobody knows. Nobody knows. You can see the concern on their face. Nobody knows. They want to see who they're going to point the finger at and who's going to take the fall for it and everything. When actually it goes a lot deeper. So that's what I feel about it.
What is your name, sir?
Kirk Lofton.
Okay, Kirk.
I got a business down there, right by there, and I live in Rockdale, so I have a business was affected. I lost 2 days of work and everything because I don't want to go out there in this and everything with all the smoke. I went out there today, it looked like everything was on fire when I went out earlier. And so I have a business in Old Town that was affected. And I got a house just all the way over here by my house. And I'm on the south side. So it's it's a lot worse than what they think. And now other counties looking at us like that small county Rockdale just messed all of us up because Gwinnett was already talking about it. They like this is something that Rockdale did this, and Fulton's ain't talking about it, and Newton County talked about it already.
Yeah,
Embry County is going to be talking about it, so everybody was affected by the smallest county.
right.
Well, and we have in long term, when we're looking at this, the reputation of an area impacts property values, right? So when I went to Smyrna to stay in the hotel, I couldn't even get an Uber to come back here. They kept canceling the trip. Nobody wanted to come out here. So what's happening, we impact the property value, we're impacting the health of the people. But this is a majority Black community and a majority white industry that is constantly able to do whatever it wants to do, knowing that it has these biohazard chemicals in that facility. But the county, the city, and the state is supposed to put measures in place to make sure that they protect the people. This has happened before, so this should have never happened again. They had enough time to know that a hurricane was coming. They knew what little drops of water would do to those chemicals. And
Right.
so measures should have been put in place to make sure that those chemicals were contained so that the chemical change that would happen if it came into contact with water wouldn't happen.
How long has this biolab been in existence in your area?
About 20 years?
Well, Avi, let me jump in. I don't know how long Biolab has actually been there, but I've been here since 2003. And 2004 was the first incident that I know of that there was some activity at Biolab. And when that incident happened, all of Conyers looked very similar to what the World Trade Center looked like on the day that the planes hit. It was gray. There was all kind of foolishness going on. And to my knowledge, in the last 7 years, there's been 4 other incidents from Biolab. Now, interestingly, I wasn't aware of the other 3 that came before this one. And part of it is that this city does nothing, or should I say this county, to alert its citizens of the dangers. And they do everything, as you stated, to protect commercial industry, but they care nothing for the residents of Rockdale County. And everything that they do becomes the burden for the taxpayers of this county. We have to cover the burden for these commercial properties that are creating health hazards for us. And whether I don't know who it should be, but the long and the short of it, from the very first time in 2004, when the incident happened, to me, the EPA or even OSHA should have stepped in and done a thorough analysis of what's going on over there. This is the smallest county in Metro Atlanta. There's no reason why a fire of this capacity should even be happening. And happening on multiple occasions.
Right.
This is insane.
Yeah. I'd like to comment on that, please.
Excuse me. Oh, can I point out one thing?
Yes.
This cough that you're hearing, I had to go outside and run some errands. I was wearing an N95 mask while I was in the vehicle, as well as I went in and out of the various establishments that I went to. Right now, my throat is on fire and I'm coughing like a seal. And this is a direct result of being outside for about an hour.
Well, and not being instructed too that the hazardous substance one of the hazardous substances that we're dealing with requires a respirator.
Yeah, I'd like to say something that I mean, very great points that the panel is actually making. I attended a meeting with some of, I don't like to call names, some of the Rockdale County officials, and one of the things that we had was addressed in the meeting was emergency preparedness. And I made a statement when actually this was when the tornadoes came through, and I said, if there is some type of disaster here, Rockdale County does not have the capacity to mitigate any type of crisis management for the county and to include its people. And they disputed me. They said, Mr. Bannister, you are wrong for this. And I said, no, I'm not. I said, there's no measures in place. Now, fast forward everything to Sunday. My fire alarms was going off at midnight. They said that the fire started at 5, and I couldn't figure out why my fire alarms was going off, and they were going off after the fact as well. So this particular incident, it actually I assumed that it happened way before then, and they didn't want to alert the public because they didn't want to alarm anyone. And it got out of control. As all of you all has stated, you don't put a chemical fire out, with water. Everything here happened as far as with the notification to the residents here of Rockdale County. I hate to say it, it was a complete failure on the city officials and to include the Rockdale County officials side, because it seemed like, as Mr. Hutchinson was saying, that when they had the actual conference, nobody wanted to say anything. It's like, you know, if I say this, then I will be held in some type of contempt, or lawsuit may be up against me. So my thing is number one, I've actually signed up for quite a few class action lawsuits, and I recommend everyone to do that. It ain't for me to get any money. It's actually to shut Biolab down permanently, have them out of Rockdale County. And another thing, my second point is they are actually building these facilities right next door to $500,000 communities like mine. They have a facility that they're building, and they're storing these things right in this particular facility. So guess what? As Avi said, it's affecting the housing market here within in Rockdale County. So if we can get them not to rebuild, with that huge class action lawsuit to include fines, penalties from OSHA, EPA, and everyone else. Also, some type of moratorium to stop building these industrial facilities right next door to residential areas, because it's not safe for us. It's not safe for our kids. It's not safe for the wildlife. It's not safe for the ecosystem, the vegetation, and things of that nature. And that's what I like to yield from there.
Yeah. And further, I'd like to say that I've been here again since 2003. These things that are happening now, where every week there is an attempt, or should I say every month, to rezone some other area that has been zoned either single family or agricultural, to rezone it, whether mixed use or commercial, so that they could continue bringing all kind of industry here. And it's being done unchecked. Even when the citizens go and voice their concerns and say, we don't want these facilities, the city and county officials disregard what the citizens say, and they do what they want to do anyway. Oftentimes, they don't even bother posting notices so that citizens can come out and object. And all of this has to stop, because personally, what they're doing benefits the native landowners here in Rockdale County, who could care less that the 72% Black population, they don't care whether or not we're affected by this in any way, whether through our property values or through our health. The only thing they care about is the money that they can make from doing business with these people that are bringing things in that's a detriment to the county and to its citizens. And that has to stop. There's just, I don't know. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say it, but I feel that there's just too much widespread corruption going on. And no one is even taking the time to look at the studies, do any studies. In fact, we have, retired civil engineers that do open record requests and bring these things to the city council as well as to the board of commissioners. All of this is ignored. In fact, and Avi can attest to this, we've had a commissioner tell us nobody works on infrastructure before they build. That's the most absurd thing I've ever
heard. You got to laugh.
Yeah.
Keep from crying.
So I think that we have some really intelligent people in Rockdale County, but we really need to identify what the root of the concerns are, so that we know how to start working together to remove this. And I think that this incident at Biolab has brought a lot of necessary attention to Rockdale County, which is why we're meeting at the last minute with, together, to be able to come and say, hey, enough of complaining. we're going to have to insist, right? Biolab not only is a hazard, but it brings a lot of revenue into the county.
Right.
Right. And so that revenue, if we remove that revenue from the county, we have to have another way to replace that revenue.
That's right.
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 However, there has to be some balance.
Right.
Those measures that should have been put in place to protect the people's well-being should have been put in place with the millions and millions of dollars that we put into this county.
Right.
But now we have increased property taxes and homes that probably have less value now because of what happened.
Well, this is why the class action lawsuit is important, because this type of thing happened in other communities, right? And those other communities were made whole when Norfolk Southern created an accident, or their trains created an accident, and all of that spillover made people's property value go down, and they worked that out. I see that as the same way here. You guys don't know what the long-term effect is. I don't even know what my long-term effect is. I was there. I was exposed to this air as well. So, and I was told coming that the air quality was fine. So as a journalist, you go out, you cover the news. Of course, we had masks on. But if the EPA is saying now that, hey, those masks don't work, so now I'm exposed. My
Right.
is exposed.
Now, I'm sorry. My name is Sonia Travis, and I was very upset about how this is handled. I'm in the middle of cancer care, as you can see, no hair. And I felt like more should have been told us about the chemicals. I had to actually go out for a radiation appointment yesterday. I had Melanie, I heard you say you're N95 mask. I wore 2 of them. Okay, because I was not taking chances. I had gloves on, wore 2 masks, had scarf, hat on. I mean, I looked, like I was going to go rob somebody, But I was just trying to be sure nothing got on my skin or anything, right? I could barely talk today. Okay, my throat's real
What I'm
scratchy.
experiencing.
I'm doing what a lot of other people are doing, going all day long. My eyes were very itchy. I had large glasses on to try to cover. My nasal passages are very sinusy. It's just a lot. And somebody mentioned to me, they said, "You've been in Rockdale for a long time. Wonder if your cancer came from the last explosion." You know? But I wish somebody would have said the N95 masks aren't what you need for this type of chemical. That should have been something that was told to us first for our health. Or people who have significant health issues, you must evacuate. They didn't do anything like that. They said, okay, your area, you just shelter in place. Don't turn on your air conditioner. Okay, we did that. And because of my current situation, we actually have 2 high power air filters in the house, one upstairs and one downstairs, windows closed and everything. And still I was smelling chlorine.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's like not enough information was given. And if that company has been around here a long time like that, we should have been prepared.
And it says it's been here since 1972. The information for the TCCA, one of the chemicals that was in the lab, it's right online. There's a hazardous substance fact sheet that anybody could have researched, that they should have already known if the substance was a part of use in that being manufactured in that facility. They knew this. So I don't think it's just a matter of not knowing. I think they willfully refuse to disclose the risk. That hazardous sheet tells you to wear a respirator. It tells you the risk, short-term and long-term effects.
Right. That is so true. It's one thing that I want to mention, and I'm going to yield. Last thing is that when they sent out the map of Rockdale County with the evacuation area. In my former life, I worked as something they called a DCE, Defense Coordinating Element, and I was a director for FEMA Region 2 and 3. That's up in the New York, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia area. when there's a disaster of this magnitude that's actually happened, okay, there's an evacuation map, yes, that should have been out. Number one, it was very it wasn't legible. You couldn't actually tell whether or not what areas of Rockdale County was that you had to evacuate. Number two, what they did not do, which I was looking for, when a disaster of this magnitude actually happens, there is a second map that actually comes out that surrounds the area with it's color coded by FEMA and the EPA, and it tells you exactly how far that the darn smoke plume is traveling. And anyone within this particular area in the smoke plume, I know you may not be in immediate evacuation area, but if you all are in the smoke plume area, it's recommended, like the lady who was just finished talking said, you need to evacuate. You need to get out of this area, and you need to go at least X amount of miles away to be away from this. That never did come out. It never did happen. They just had a little small evacuation area, and that smoke from that chemical fire, that's the hazard that everybody's actually facing now, to include the water that's probably they sprayed it off with, that's going down into the stormwater drain, where it eventually is going to work its way into our drinking water. But the point I'm making is that the failure on that particular part with the actual second map to actually show where the actual smoke, to include the wind direction of this particular incident, which I think personally, from the top down, city and county
And state.
they all should be relieved of duty, and someone from the feds or somebody else come in and take over this mess that we got here in Rockdale.
Absolutely.
I feel what all of you are saying, and as a person that really hasn't visited Rockdale County before, I mean, I have, but not to the level that I had to yesterday. And when I drove around and I saw that most of the people that I saw looked like me, that surprised me, because for some reason I just thought that Rockdale County was a little bit more diverse. And not that that's a problem, but I just thought that's what it was. But it made me understand why the approach was the way it was. And I think you all have it nailed. My question at this point is resolution, because the effect is already in motion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is the plan? Because so often this stuff happens, like it happened in 2004, and they sugarcoat things, and here we go back dealing with the same thing again. And if it's not handled on this run, it's going to happen again. So what is the resolution at this point?
So my name is Brenda Anderson, and I've been in Rockdale County for 7 years. My husband and I have been here. He just ran for office this past campaign. And one of the reasons he ran was because of what I see the common thread that we're talking about is this community has been neglected so much when it comes down to protecting the people in the community, that he felt it was his obligation to run, not because of anything that he knew about the community in the past. He hadn't done a lot of research. A lot of the things that I'm feeling right now, just like Brother Walter just said, these people are paid to know these things. This information is public information that they should know. They should have been able to tell us long before they told us, because I'm just a layperson. I just want to know. It just has to make sense to me. And right now, it's making sense to me that they're not concerned about us. They're more concerned about still protecting their position instead of being transparent, making sure people like me understand. But, I'm fortunate that I have a husband that can look up things and tell me and, kind of minimize my anxiety. But I'm here to represent the anxiety that most of the people in the community probably are having, because they already know the conflict that's going on in the community when it comes down to transparency. I think somebody do need to come in outside and take over and make sure that everything is being done properly, because I think there still will be a cover up.
When you talk about transparency, it's weird because, again, like I said, I've done this for a lot of years. And when I rolled up, I was expecting to see hazmat and fire department and everything blocked off, and it were police cars protecting commercial areas. That's what I saw. I saw opened up communities with this heavy plume of smoke where it was so thick, I tasted metal in the back of my throat.
Yes, sir.
And I said to myself, what is going on? There were people walking by like as if this wasn't occurring. And I'm asking them, where's their mask? And they don't even know what the heck is going on. So the messaging was absent. The police that were there, they were there to lock down commercial. Of course, they had to cover the perimeter because they don't want anybody going back in that area. But I drove all the way around we couldn't get in anywhere near there. So I had to shoot from the highway and all of those things. But I started to follow where this plume was going, where the wind was blowing. And it was this cul-de-sac, and I didn't get the name of the street, but it was a heavy, heavy, thick cloud, and it almost looked like doomsday. It was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look, one of the things that concerned me is that one of the evacuation points was actually maybe about 3 miles away from the incident, at the JP Car building. I'm like, that's not an evacuation. They had people going there, and then they had to find other locations. So it shows me that the county was not prepared and won't be prepared as the county grows and as they build more houses, as they have more residents coming in. If anything should happen like this again, what will be the evacuation route? Where will people be able to evacuate to in an emergency like this? Because the one thing I am glad, though, is that out of all this, the best thing that came out of it is that the EPA and people like that got involved from outside. Because now they can come in here and maybe while they're here, we'll get the attention of other things that's going on and everything, like all the building and all the stuff that's going to be hazardous to us and everything in the long run. Because we have real serious problem with overcrowding right here in this county. It's grown too much and it's grown real carelessly and everything. So therefore, when it keeps growing, you bring in more and more people in here. When an incident like this happens, it's going to be chaotic. They're trying to fit the bill and look like a New York City, but they really are Mayberry. And they can't handle it. It's like they'll be running in circles and everything. They don't have any kind of public transportation, no exit strategy, no exit route. So therefore, everybody's going to be clumped in and everything. And the people who know how to get out won't be able to get out because the people that are panicking and everything going to have them killed. So it's like what do you do? I mean, your question was, what do we do? We need to have somebody from the exterior come in and audit this entire county from top to bottom, everything from the building aspect, from the preparation, from the safety aspect, from the political figures, from the financial aspect. Everything needs to be looked at and everything so that we can turn around and maybe turn this thing around before it gets too late. Because now they got everybody coming in a cluster, and everybody got ideas, but all the ideas are going separate ways and everything. So it's not making sense. And if you look at the comprehensive plan, you'll see that they took a whole area and they shaded it and they called it, this is medium density. Didn't even go and look at each of the houses. Didn't look at none of that in each of the areas and everything. They just deemed it all medium density. So that means they're going to pile houses in here, multi-units and everything like that. All these thousands and thousands of people coming in here and everything, and they're not doing anything for safety. Water is bad, all this stuff, So the water guy came on today and said, I just want to assure you that the drinking water is 100% safe. I'm like, how can you say that?
Right.
We got chemicals floating around and everything in the air. How you going to sit here and say the water is safe?
So I think this will be a great opportunity for us to, the class action lawsuit. But this unfortunately, this event is a good catalyst for us to use to start drawing attention to Rockdale County from the state and getting people out here and even from the federal level, because this is continuing. And Melanie and I was talking about it earlier. It's more like systematic racism. And so I think it would be a good idea for us. I know Bill wanted to come back and bring more people. This is what we were able to gather in a short notice, because I think I just talked to him at 5.
Yeah, right.
So I think we did a good job to bring all of us together.
Absolutely.
And
let me just
set up another event
we can do another one tomorrow. Let me just tell you this. One of the reasons why I exist is because of this problem. We don't get information that speaks to our community. I've been in the news business for 40 years, and I decided to do it on my own because I realized that there's always a narrative out there, and the narrative never benefits us. And we, unfortunately, are always disproportionately affected by everything that is negative. I would like one day for us to be disproportionately affected on something that's positive. And all of you telling your stories is going to be amazing, because what happens with me, when I put the story out there, everybody else comes 2, 11, 5, because they can't talk to you. Most of the time, they give you a 2-minute soundbite and that's it. They're not going to spend 30 minutes to talk to you. How can you possibly describe what's happening in 2 minutes and 30 seconds? So what I'd like for you all to do is go to our channel and subscribe and let other people know to subscribe, because I'm not beholden to anybody. I don't take sponsorship money. I don't take nothing. I do this because I've been led to do this by the creator. I don't get paid to do it. I do it because it's needed. I'm blessed in other areas where I make money. But right now, this message has to be out there, and I'm going to make sure that it gets to the people that need to hear this, because at the end of the day, I don't know you personally, but you are my family, period. And if we don't start looking out for one another, we all might as well just start digging our graves, because there's a plan that's out there, and it certainly doesn't look like it includes us.
So I want to say one thing that to Avi's point. Avi, you said something that's very important, that facility was bringing major income to the county. And what we need to do as people, what we don't do is that a lot of times we complain about things and we want things gone, but we have to have a could go there. We could take the place of, not so much in that particular location, but we could take the place of that income, because that's what's going to be an important factor too. So we won't have no rock unturned and everything. So it's so important that you said that they want the revenue. They want the revenue, and they'll put our health in the disposal for the revenue. So we have to come up. We can't just say, I want that gone, without saying I can replace that with this.
Well, yeah, so it looks like it's profit over people at this point.
Right.
And one of the things, Kirk, I'd just like to say in response to that is, it's not our job to come up with an economic development plan for this county. That's the job of the commissioners. And almost a year ago, I asked the commissioner about it, a commissioner that has sat in office for multiple terms. And I was told, and I believe you may have been at that meeting, Kirk.
8+ years.
They didn't have an economic development plan, but they would have one available by the end of the year. And then they went about forming a committee to come up with an economic development plan. It still doesn't exist. All we can get are chicken places, fast food, other fast food joints, liquor stores. The liquor store is the largest building in our, on the
Proximity.
Don't forget to add the storage units.
It's
storage units,
three large liquor stores.
So you all see how what has happened here takes us back to these long-term conversations that we've been having over and over and over. And it's just, it keeps calling out to us. It's telling us that this battle is here. We've been targeted, and it's not going to go anywhere.
It's not.
It's not going to go anywhere. So if we can, I'm not sure what everybody has on their schedule, but if we can go and grab 1 or 2 more people, or as many people as we can, to get on a Zoom call tomorrow, so that we can talk about how this has affected the people, and so that we can get the word